Hello, I'm here to introduce you to a classic resource called the Oxford English Dictionary, or OED. I am getting this resource through the Rutgers Libraries. You can also get an individual subscription for $100 per year, and sometimes it goes on sale. We have a subscription in our law library because a lot of the work we do involves interpreting statutory construction. Statutes are also known as laws, and when they're made, they use certain language, and if it was 100 years ago, the language may mean different things now than then, and so you need to argue for certain interpretations. So this is a great way to do it. I'm going to show you it and jump right in. As you can see, the interface is really clean. Some things on this front page. There's a word of the day on the right. You can sign up for it to get it by email. There's a lot of help over here because it is a tool that a lot of librarians use. They've really provided a lot of support. There's an update every quarter. It's updated so you can dive in and see what new words they added or new definitions. And they do have a word of the year, and last year's word of the year was vax. So if you're interested in words, this is a really great resource. And you can see there are a number of different ways you can get in to the dictionary. I'm going to start with a quick search. And because there was only one definition for banana, and it's a noun, you'll see that it went right into the entry. I'm going to go back to full results, and if there were a number of different definitions, you would see a whole list here. I'm going to jump back in. And we're in the outline mode, which is like a quick look. Full entry, I'm going to move over to that. First, they give you pronunciation. So in this case, they're slightly different.
Banana.
That's British.
Banana.
That's US. So you can enjoy, we all know how to pronounce banana, but it is fun to play with that. They give you the forms of the word. They give you the frequency. So this is reflecting current times, how frequent it is in language. So when you click on it, it pops up here and it explains band 5, which is occurring between 1 and 10 times per million words in modern usage. Okay, so that gives you an idea. If you have a word come up and then you see not very many red dots, it's not in very high use. They also give the etymology, what the history of it, where it came from. And then they go into the different explanations of the different definitions. So banana could be a tree, and it could be the fruit, and it could also talk about the yellow color. So these are all different definitions. They provide quotes for each one across time, across sources, so that you can see how the word is used, and you can see how early it starts and how late it ends. So, for example, these are kind of older. These are older, but we know that banana still is existing, so we don't have to prove it by having something from, the 2020s. We get a little more interesting over here when we see crazy, mad, wild, to go bananas, and you can see here first started in 1935. So you'll see how it changes over time. And for each definition, there are a number of things here on the right. First of all, you could hide the quotations, and you can hide them all up here. So you could hide all the quotations in case it's just too much to look at all that noise. And as we scroll down here again, we can see there's a thesaurus and there's categories. So a thesaurus will tell you if there's any other options. Now, this is the crazy, mad, wild definition. So the thesaurus does have some other funny options. So this is where you can really, get into the weeds here and click into something like this and go on. You can also look at the categories. So how are they categorizing it as colloquial or slang? Of course, if you're looking at the categories for a different definition, it would be different. And then down here, you can see the compounds names are here. The compound definitions are here with additions in different drafts. So banana split is here, and then we've also got additions, additional uses down here. Banana beer, banana belt, banana bread, things like that. So it's really interesting. You can really get into the history here. The quick search it's not in the middle of everything anymore. It kind of pops over here, up and in a different section. So we can also move into the advanced search here. And so you can search entries, senses, or quotations. Senses, they give an example of something like using the word headache as like a sense. But I was having trouble bringing up different results. So I'm not quite clear on how that works. Quotations, that's the actual citations they have to different publications. So the quotations, this is where you can search them. You can put terms in. You can add other terms. You can add different operators here. And if you do something like near, you can also add rows, so you can add additional terms. If you do something like near or not near, you can choose how many words can go between. So you can do that over there. You can do case sensitive and exact characters. You can also put in truncation. So that's nice. Case sensitive is if you want it like something capitalized. And what's nice is when you do something picking like case sensitive, it'll explain what it does and talk about some of these other things here. So when you're doing the advanced search, it'll help you over on the right. So if I take that off, and this is because it's quotations. If it's entries, you get even more options at the bottom. You can get date of entry, like let's say you're an author and you're writing something in the 1700s and you want to know what some colloquial words and slang is. You can put in a date range, and then you could do usage and browse the usage and see. You could use derogatory or you could use colloquial and slang. And even with colloquial and slang, you can get a lot of different things. You can get like school slang, course slang. You could get a lot of different types of slang. So you can use, when did they say fiddlesticks? Was that in the set? Could you use that in your book? I don't know, but you could look in here and find out. So it's a really cool resource in lots of different ways. You can also look at a language of origin and either combine it with dates or not, but you could also look at the usage for, things in English that are maybe French or Japanese in origin. You can also browse subjects. So everything that has a browse, we've talked about using subjects to kind of guide our searching and get more direction and more concise results. So these subjects can really help you dig in different ways. If the terms, combining the terms with the subjects or just using the subjects. Those are different ways you can search. You can also browse in different ways. So over here on the right, there's a number of ways you can do that. You can do dictionary. You can, which is just a word wheel and a like A through Z type situation where you could just look up anything, scroll down here, and just, or jump to something, just like you were flipping through the book. You can also look at those categories and go in through here. For example, if you go in through, so let's say we wanted to browse categories and we'd go into education here in the university. This would give you all the words under that category. And so you could look at the list. I thought this was funny, ABD here. You can sort by entry or by date. And so you can get things at different times, what different words are pertaining to education. You can also, anytime you've done a search, this will appear on the right where you can refine your search by all these different options. So once you're in it, a lot of these were also in that advanced search. So parts of speech was in there. Usage was in there, that colloquial or other choices. Region would be the continent or the region. You could do the date and where it was first cited in. So there's lots of ways you can dig into this and refine your search, which is very helpful when you're already in there. Another thing is the timeline. So if you wanted to look at the word banana again, and then you wanted to look at the timeline, this might not have a timeline. I'm disappointed. I'll have to show you that another way. But a lot of words will have a timeline for when it appears. We also have sources. So if you want to look at an actual source of quotations, for example, Shakespeare, if you want to see where Shakespeare's quotes appear in the dictionary, what words they define, what words OED, what words OED use Shakespeare to define, you could do that this way. And the historical thesaurus is really interesting too. This shows you how a word has changed over time. So if I go into the concept of leisure as a noun, over time, this will give you an idea of the different words over time that express the concept of leisure. So, you can see vacation, remission. You can see the dates here go up. So as we move along, you could see how vacancy used to be used for leisure. So a lot of really interesting ways to get in here and show things. So that's pretty much it. I'm going to just put in the word vax and see if we get a timeline. So vax has two definitions, a noun and a verb, and the time, there could also, something could have more than one noun and verb too. I'm going to do the timeline. And as we would assume, this has only been used in the last 2 centuries. But if it were something that went up and down over time, over centuries, it would show here. And it can be really interesting to use this timeline as well. I hope you've enjoyed my tour. It went on way too long. Thank you.